Before we jump into the episode today, I want to share something with you from my heart. First of all, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I really can't tell you how much your support means to me. We've been doing the podcast now for almost 4 years. I can't even believe it. And I'm so grateful for each and every single one of you that listens, shares an episode with your friends, sends me a DM or a text message letting me know how an episode resonated with you or any aha moments. Seriously, I couldn't be more grateful to be able to create this podcast. It has been such a blessing in my life, and I love hearing the ways it's been able to provide value in yours as well. One thing you might not know is how much work it takes to be consistent with a podcast. In fact, did you know that the majority of podcasts don't make it past episode number 10? And we are well beyond that. And it's just a lot thinking of the episodes, recording them, editing them, managing the guests, making sure that everything runs smoothly and gets uploaded consistently and regularly. And so that's why I have created an amazing opportunity for you to support the podcast monetarily. And in exchange for that, you will get exclusive premium subscriber content. So for as little as $3 a month, you can become a premium subscriber of the podcast. And every month I will upload new voice-guided workouts and breathwork meditation audio for you. So that way you can work out with me, coaching you in your ears. You can also take a moment to reduce your stress and relax and come down and ground down with one of my breathwork audios. So if that is on your heart to support the podcast for as little as $3 a month to become a premium podcast subscriber, I can't tell you how much that means to me and the growth of this podcast. I appreciate you. If you're interested, click the link in the description, become a premium podcast subscriber, new content every month, and while supplies last, I'll send you an exclusive podcast coffee mug so you can have your self-love and sweat coffee every morning. I appreciate you. Now let's get into the show. Welcome to Self-Love and Sweat, the podcast, the place where you'll get inspired to live your life unapologetically, embrace your perfect imperfections, break down barriers, and do what sets your soul on fire. I'm your host, Lunden Souza. Hey friend, it's me, Lunden Souza, online lifestyle transformation coach. I help people all over the world just like you who know they are meant for more, get their mind right and their body tight, and go from crazy busy to crazy happy. And hey, if it's our first time meeting, welcome. So happy to have you. And if you've been with us for a while, it's so great that you're here too. I'm really excited to share this episode of the Self-Love and Sweat podcast with you. Hey, I want to tell you quickly about 2 ways that you can get connected beyond the podcast to uplevel your health, your life, your fitness, reach your goals, but also support the podcast as well. So the first option is our Self-Love and Sweat monthly members only meetup. We meet up on the last Saturday of the month on Zoom for 90 minutes to cover some important topics, to answer your questions, and then to also do a workout together. It's a great way to have that support, have that accountability, get supercharged, and get reminded that there are other people all over the world on this journey of self-love and sweat, and you don't have to do it alone. You can join your first month for only $1 using code SELFLOVE1 at checkout, and then it's $27 a month after that. So you go to lifelikeLondon.com/monthly, use the code SELFLOVE1 at checkout to try us out, test it out for only $1 for your first month, and then you can be on board to listen to the podcast, join up on the meetups, and just really feel like you're connected and thriving on this journey to reach your goals. The second option is our Strong at Home for Women 8-week dumbbell-only workout plan. We have women all over the world getting stronger from the inside out right at home, right? So we're ready to take action to get stronger despite the circumstances of the world. And we know that we're not about to do that alone. So embark on this 8-week journey with us. You can go to lifelikeLondon.com/strong at home. You can pick up your 8-week plan. And the exciting thing is that every 8 weeks, we open it up, myself and my co-coach, for VIP all access coaching with us. So not only do you get the plan, but you get Zoom fireside chats with us. You get an exclusive way to chat with us anytime so you can ask your questions, share your progress. And we're always continuing to stay connected and motivate and inspire each other on our journey to get stronger, no matter what that means for us. So if you know that you're meant for more, you're ready to get stronger from the inside out, and you're just like, yes, I need a plan and some structure, something to tell me what to do. I know I'm ready, but I need that coaching. I can't do it alone. We are here for you. You can go to lifelikeLondon.com/strong at home, pick up the plan, figure out when our next VIP all access registration is opening so you can get that support and guidance. And the third thing, I said there was two, but the third thing is you can do both. You can join us for those monthly meetups. You can be there for the 8-week program. You know, this coaching and this support is here for you. We want to get you real results that last so you never have to start over again. And so you guys are awesome. Enjoy this episode. Get connected. Self-love and sweat, friends. Hey friends, welcome back to Self-Love and Sweat, the podcast. Today we're talking about finding what works for you and how to know what that feels like, or how to know when it works for you. I think that, that's a common phrase we hear, in marketing or whatever. It's just like, yeah, and finally find what works for you, but what does that mean? And what does working for you look like? And I think this is a super powerful topic because I think that we actually hold a lot more power in that answer than we know. And I love helping people unlock, the full potential, full power here. And so I think this is going to be a really fun podcast episode, or maybe you're watching this on YouTube. So it's going to be a super fun, interactive way to figure out what works for you. Okay. So I'm going to be writing down on a piece of paper. I'll describe what I'm writing down to you and what that looks like. It'll be very easy for you to imagine that. And if you want to do it with me, you can. If you want to imagine it, great. And if you want to do it with me and then come back to it later, even better, because that's what we're here for, is to really absorb that information and to really find what works for us, right? If you're listening to this, you're like, I want to figure out what works for me, for sure. And so what I can say for sure, and how I want to start this talk off, this teaching session on, this value session on, is what works for you in one season might not work in another season. And that's all good. It's important that we are able to pivot, ebb and flow and be flexible. That's so, so powerful. So, so important. So don't feel like what works has to be what works all the time, or it doesn't work. Okay. Of course, we want it to work a certain amount of time and we want it to work more often than not. But just because you say that something is working for you and it's vibe and flow doesn't mean that that's not able to change. Okay. That's super important. What works and what works for you. So, what sometimes comes up is if I was to ask the question, okay, what works for you? That can be a hard place to start. You're chopping off at some really tough rock there. But if I'm what hasn't worked for you? What do you know, with pretty much absolute certainty, that does not work for you? You've tried that. It has not been your jam. You didn't like it. It wasn't fun. It didn't work for you. And I bet that we can go off with a lot of things that didn't work for us. That did not work for me. I tried that. Oh, no, that did not work for me. In a lot of the work that I do when it comes to fitness, health, wellness, we really know full well. And a lot of the people that I talk with, my clients and potential clients, they know full well what hasn't worked for them. And we can blame it a lot. That didn't work for me. That didn't work for me. That wasn't working for me. And it's okay, but were you working for it? Were you working for you even more? So when it would come back to this though, it's make that list. Okay. So we have on my piece of paper a line down the middle. I'm drawing a line down the middle, and we'll put what doesn't work, and then we'll put what works.
Cool. So let's do what doesn't work first. Like I said, sometimes that list is a lot easier just to what works can be like you're hitting against granite, but what doesn't work, it's like you're kind of hitting against like really hard, dry sand that once you start chipping it away, it just kind of like falls off. You know what I mean? What doesn't work? Very powerful teacher, very powerful piece of information. Knowing what doesn't work means that you know that, yeah, the possibility of something working does not exist, those things. And you don't have to go down those avenues for you. You don't have to try those again. No one's asking you to fit into a mold or a box or a cookie cutter or in anything, especially if it's not working for you, right? So make that list of what doesn't work for you when it comes to, a particular goal that you're reaching, but I'm always talking about fitness, health, wellness, mindset, setting ourselves up physically, for success, resting, the kind of that full spectrum of health and wellness. So what does not work, in that world, is extremes, like crazy extremes when it comes to, calorie restrictions or, working out every single day. That's not working, right? That's not going to work for that main goal there. So what's not working for you? What hasn't worked in the past? Go ahead and let that list roll, because then you can take, what works, what does work. Okay. Well, what doesn't work is like not having accountability, because then I don't hold myself accountable. I don't get the thing done. Okay. So what works? That means telling people about your goals, getting an accountability buddy, hiring a coach, getting something, moving the needle that direction. Okay. So if you're having trouble jotting down what works, then just take what doesn't work and put the opposite there. Okay. And this doesn't mean that all of a sudden you have a list of the magic potion. It's just like you have a place to start that works for you, that was like done with intention, without reading a magazine about a quick fix or hearing a commercial or whatever telling you what works or what doesn't work for you. Just like sitting down and saying like, okay, I'm committed to figuring out what's going to feel best and work for me at this time to get where I say I want to be, to serve how I want to serve. And this is where I'm going to start. Here's what I know doesn't work. Here's the opposite of that. Let me go there first. Of course you don't have the exact specific planned out moment by moment map, but we can use what we do know about what doesn't work to guide us in the direction of figuring out what works best for us. And you have to test it. You have to really test out this list of what works, and you have to, commit to it and do it. And, if you say that what doesn't work is, not having accountability, not having that support system, that structure, that, that person that you meet up with, that group that you meet up with, whatever. If you know that when you don't have that, it doesn't work. And what does work is accountability. Okay, let's say you sign up for the program, but then you don't show up to any of the group, meetings, or you don't take the time to watch the replays or read all the information from backside to side, or just, when you don't show up for the thing that you kind of plant. And then sometimes you don't even plant the seed. It's like, that you need accountability, but you don't seek it. Okay. That's like I'm going to really push you through that one there. But it's like, when you do get that accountability and you do seek it and you do sign up for that program and you do seek out that coaching, are you showing up conducive to where you say you want to go when you do that, right? So think about that too. So you have to kind of go through this. That's why it's like, you don't need a laundry list of, 500 things that work. Like pick a few, pick things that are working well for you and that support that. And this is really pretty big picture. If maybe it's like medium picture here. It's like, okay, from there, when you figure out what works, it's like, okay, how do we implant that into our daily day-to-day lives? How do we use things like habit stacking and other things to put in more of what's going to work without feeling like we're doing too much? And that's actually going to help us do more in less time and feel our best, right? Supercharged. So this is kind of like medium chunking here of really thinking about this list, like I said, of 3 to 5 things of what works. And this could be based on the opposites of things that don't work, because things that don't work are very good teachers, like I said too. If we keep doing the same thing, then we keep doing the same thing. And that's, something we have to own up to there. But we can really say, okay, sit down, take the 5, 10, 15 minutes, maybe an hour to figure out, and sit down with this double-sided paper, line down the middle, what doesn't work, what works, and thinking about too, this is a really great one too, is like, okay, you have this list, what works and what doesn't work. think about what it feels like when it doesn't work. Like when it's not working and you're going through a lot of mixed emotions, overwhelm, frustration, here we go again, just like whatever record plays when things are not working. Think about that and how that feels. And just like it's, oh, right? And then think about what works. Think about what's working and like what works for you. And like as you start to write the opposite of what doesn't work, or start to make a list of what works and what works well for you, like start to envision that. What does it feel like when it's working? When you feel like you're in flow, when you feel like you found the solution that helps you feel energized and your best, and like you're feeling good in your clothes and your digestion is good, and like your hair, skin, and nails feels nice, and just like all the things that we want, both being strong from the inside and out. When we find that, that secret sauce that works for us, it's a really good feeling, and so think about that too. And, you can kind of look at this and, do this visual here, like put your left hand and your right hand up, palm facing up, and kind of, bend your fingers a little bit like you're holding something. And let's look on the right hand and be like, okay, this is what doesn't work. And like, look at your right hand there. And say, this is what doesn't work. These are the things that haven't served me, the mindset strategies that haven't worked, the diets, workout plans, regimens, whatever, lack of asking for help. All these things here don't work. And how does that feel? Right? This is all in this one hand here. Okay, so you're looking at this. When all of this stuff that's in my hand that doesn't work, this is what happens. This is how I feel. This is what goes through my body emotionally, physically. It's just like, it's overwhelming. It's frustrating. Here we go again. And I just got to keep on going with the stuff that doesn't work because it's like things are going too fast, right? To even stop to figure out what works, right? Okay, then look on the other side. What works? Today we figured out a little bit, at least maybe a small list of what works for you, what works strategy-wise for, where you're at, and for your body. And it's like all the little switches are feeling good and turned on in your body, like click, 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 click. Yep, that works for me. Boom, boom, boom. Power's on, supercharged mode. Here we go. And like, how does that feel? When everything's working and it's not always that. I don't think we live in like perfect rainbow butterfly land. We're here for personal development. So we know that things are not going to be like spectacular 24/7 in the moment, especially we can always turn it into something that, but things ebb and flow. Okay. But you know what it looks like and feels like when things are working. So you're looking at your hands and on the right side, what doesn't work. And then you have on the left side, what does work. Now you get to choose, right? You get to choose which avenue you go down, right? Does that mean you have to dump all of the what works Legos open and try to do all those things at the moment? No. Does that mean you have to completely throw away what doesn't work? Well, yeah, but maybe not everything, and maybe just a little bit, and maybe some of it we can recycle, right? So we have to kind of unpack that a little bit more there. But when you look at your hands there and you really are, you get that choice, which for some people can be really uncomfortable and like, oh, you mean I have to choose and this is my choice if I end up with said outcome? Yeah, but you don't have to do it alone. That's what coaching and all this inner work and fun stuff is for. And habit, I just love it. Habit and intentional living. It's beautiful. Okay, so what works and what doesn't work? What are you choosing? And you can choose, okay, what's in the what works section. So you chose what works. I'm going to choose to show up focused on what's working and what I can, what I can make work better and just like optimize, and just make that work even more for me. You have that list of like 3 to 5 things, right? And then you can start to say, okay, I'm going to take this one thing. And what I know works for me is like getting my workout done first thing. Like I can't wait until lunch because then it's like too much time and then I have to shower and then I'm sweaty still after the shower. And then in the evenings, I have a lot going on and I just need to like flow into evening routine, get stuff done for myself or my family, whatever. I know what works is getting my workout done before lunch in the first half of the day before I start work, or like maybe I do a little bit morning work and then I jump into my workout, but that's how it's going to get fit in. Okay, well then what do you have to do to make that happen? Who do you have to talk to? What appointments do you have to make or shift or move around? What has to happen at bedtime the night before so you can wake up a little bit earlier? What type of workouts do you enjoy doing? How much time do you have, right? There's so much stuff that we get to unpack in coaching that it's just like, let's set up shop. Let's set up shop. And then you don't have to go through all the things of navigating that and really rooting down in what setting up shop looks like for you. You don't have to do that alone. You have coaching and support and your friends and people you've cultivated in community that are there cheering you on and like there for you when shit sucks. Because sometimes it sucks too as we're finding what works for us. Okay. It's not that it's rainbows and butterflies. Like I said, I've never been committed to the idea of rainbows and butterflies. I've just always been committed to the idea of, and I am committed to the idea of just finding a way, finding a solution, and figuring things out with enough support and investigation, curiosity, fun, right? Playfulness, compassion, right? We don't want to beat ourselves up along the process, but it's important to figure out what works for us so we can keep doing more of that, because it's just like, like I said, that visual of like click, 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 all the things. It's like, here we go, 10, 9, turning on all the switches, getting ready for liftoff, and everything just kind of supercharges and surges. And that's, the combined force of all those switches coming off together for that liftoff there. And so, what works for you? Start with what doesn't work. Don't be afraid to go down that avenue. Okay. It's cool if you have a long list of things that haven't worked for you. At least you know that those aren't the things you are going to focus on this time. Hello, up leveling our starting point. You should be super happy about that. And then working through what works for you. Okay. So try this out. Make sure you get your list going. Like I said, my super artistic skills, we just do one line down the middle, what doesn't work on the left or on the right, and what works on the left, and just write it down, get it out, journal it out, put it in your notes in your phone, and share it with me. I love hearing all of your feedback. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram at @LifeLikeLondon. You can also hit reply to any of the emails I send out to you in my newsletter. I do my absolute best to respond to every single one and read every single one. So go ahead and let me know as you're working through this, what that looks like for you. So I hope you're having a great day wherever you are in this world. Keep showing up. You're crushing it. And every day you're discovering more of what works for you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Self-Love and Sweat, the podcast. Hey, do me a favor. Wherever you're listening to this podcast, give us a review. This really helps a lot. And share this with a friend. I'm only one person, and with your help, we can really spread the message of self-love and sweat and change more lives all around the world. I'm Lunden Souza, reminding you that you deserve a life full of passion, presence, and purpose, fueled by self-love and sweat. This podcast is a Hit Spot Austria production.